The team, we've talked about November football, and to me, it was a classic example of November football in our conference. Tough conditions weather-wise, and a couple of things we really thought coming into the game we'd have to play tough because Wisconsin's a really tough outfit, and then playing clean football is huge for us and huge for them, and it's been that way historically in this series, and it's been that way for both teams really this year. If you look back during the stats, for both teams, so. And then the other thing is, you got to make plays when they do present themselves, and our guys did a good job of that. It wasn't easy, wasn't clean, but overall did a really nice job. So, just really proud of our players for getting the victory. Proud of them getting the trophy back and having that in our building for a while. Defense obviously played really well. Good job stopping the run, and outside of a bust we had in the coverage, pretty good job in pass defense as well. So that was good to see. Had some ups and downs, but more ups in special teams. Obviously, the block punt was a big play in the game, and then I think really the sequence where we were able to kill the ball down on the 1 yard line, their 1 yard line, give them the long field, and then Cooper followed it up with the punt return, and then we were able to finish that drive off. It was just I think a really big swing in the game, and offensively we got a lot of work to do still. It was kind of disappointing up front. It didn't look real good for the most part, but a couple positives there when we did get the ball down inside. We finished, put the ball in the end zone instead of field goals, and that was I think a positive certainly. And then the end of the game to hold the ball and make them burn their timeouts. Not sure I saw that coming, so that was encouraging too. And they're a good group. They just need more experience, more work, and we'll get back to work on Monday with them. But they're a good group, and those guys don't give up, so we'll be okay there. And just, encourage the team to enjoy this one. They earned it. It was hard fought, and they earned it. So really, again, just proud of their effort, proud of the staff, the plan they put together, and we'll enjoy this one and turn the page tomorrow. I'll throw it out for questions.
We talked to Cooper. He says he can't drop kick a field goal. Are you amazed at how he can affect the game in so many different areas?
Yeah, I just got done saying on the radio coming in, for whatever reason, I'm thinking about stuff I probably shouldn't think about, but there's probably not a position on the perimeter he couldn't play. And, you'd have to change your offense if he's your quarterback, but, I'm pretty sure he could be a pretty good running back. I know he could be a really good receiver, and you think about the 4 positions on defense in the back end, plus the nickel back, the slot guy. So there's 5 right there, and it's just an unusual skill set, if you will. Micah Hyde, probably the closest thing maybe we had. Not maybe Desmond, but maybe Micah's probably a better reach there. But and then the most amazing part is it's just he wasn't recruited, especially in this day and age where there's no secrets. So, but on top of it, he's a great young guy. He's just a great team member. So it's just quite an effort tonight from him.
How much do you think that he played smaller class football? The fact that he was had to do a lot in high school, it's an advantage when he comes here.
Yeah, just playing sports. And I'll put a plug in for parents. Like being a multi-sport athlete, and it seems like anybody smart I talk to in football, they endorse that. The people in the NFL, and you can usually go back and trace that. Like the really good ball skill guys, they played stuff other than just football. Growing up, and sometimes didn't play football till later. But yeah, I think just going out and doing stuff is so overlooked right now, and everybody's in this age of specialization and all that crazy stuff. Just let kids be kids and let them go out and play.
Kirk, today
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Today you had Cooper, obviously, and Deontay make huge special teams plays. These are defensive starters, and I know it's nothing new for starters to make big special teams plays. But how have you made special teams something that starters want to do?
That goes back to day one, 23 plus years ago. That was one thing. It was just a building block for our program. And 2 reasons for it. Number one, figured that was the first thing maybe we could get good at because we weren't very good at anything initially. And so that was that. And part of the reason is you don't have to be as veteran of a player, I don't think, to be a good special teams player. There's not quite as much learning. There is learning, and there's obviously calls and schemes and all that, but it's not quite, the experience doesn't factor in. And if you got a good attitude and you're really a tough-minded guy, it gives you a chance. And then, so fast forward, then, the dilemma becomes as you get a little bit down the road, hopefully, thinking about guys like, Abdul Hodge, Greenway, Dallas Clark, how much do you use them on special teams, because they're so valuable on defense too. And so now you circle back to Cooper, who's easily leading the team in snaps right now. I think probably the only time he comes off would be kickoff, return. I think that's correct. And then, the field goal teams, he's not on those, but and he's playing every snap on defense. But, we don't have a choice right now. We're not the deepest outfit. But I think our guys just take pride in that. And the good players I've been around want to play on special teams, and then we got to pull them back. But if there's a way to get a guy who maybe is a second team that can play as effectively, we're gonna give that guy the opportunity. So, there's a little bit more buy-in, and they're more part of the team. Feel like they're more part of the team. So that's kind of been our philosophy for a couple decades here. But then it's tough sometimes, because some guys can really make a difference, and it's gonna be tough to take him off any of these teams moving forward.
Maybe you might be able to correct me here, but I can't think of a time when you've had a defense where you can just completely rely upon, where it changes their game plan almost. I mean,
Yeah.
they're just so dominant right now. How does that
04 is a
change
little
the
bit
way
like
you
that
play?
too, in that we weren't where we needed to be offensively, and at least you go into a game thinking that you got a chance, with a couple segments maybe, and then if you can just do something else. So but I don't mind telling you, that was prominent in my thoughts today, certainly, just about how we approach the second half. And same way, last 3 weeks actually, you just want to be smart in that second half and not put those guys in a really bad position. So you can't pull it all the way back, and then part of that too is just the feel. Like, I've been around some really good defenses that have tough days, and then you got to play accordingly. But today our guys were really outside that one pass. I mean, we were on top of our game pretty good.
Kirk, at Ohio State, I asked you specifically if there are times when things like this could snowball in one of two directions, and I actually just said, is it possible to go in the right direction over the final 6 games? And you said it's not only possible, I believe it is possible, and it's going to happen, and it's up to us to make it happen. Here you are, 3 games later, your defense is dominated. You've won 3 games. What has led you guys to doing it?
I think the answer I'd give you, there was a visitor in town here I'm pretty close with, who really knows football and knows people. And he knows our program, and he was just in the locker room there just talking about our guys and the way they are. He really likes our team. So that's what I'd go back to. And it's been pretty consistent since January. These guys have worked hard. And we're like any team. We got the guys at the top that know how to act and know how to be leaders, and then you got guys in the middle trying to figure it out, and then you got some guys at the bottom have no idea what's going on most of the time. But we got enough guys at the top that have been, really strong. So, you just I couldn't sign off on that 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. But you bet on people, and you bet on people that you've been around, and see how they respond. Thinking right now about Jack Campbell, right? You guys, trying to get him to crack it. I don't mean that in a bad way, but that's a game every guy gets played. And, not only did he deflect that question, he stood up and was strong. That's who he is. That's how he is. And we got a lot of guys like that on our team.
Coach, was there chatter?
That's really helpful, Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Sorry, no, I cut you off. Was there chatter in the locker room about the Purdue game earlier and how that could impact your guys' chances of winning the West?
I don't spend a lot of time in the locker room today, I just kind of get in and out. Like, as the game gets closer, I really try to give our players space, but I doubt it. I really doubt it. I don't think anybody's thinking about a pennant race right now. I think we're all thinking about trying to get our 3rd win. And, we got 2 left now. So, all that stuff, if it's supposed to be, it's like last year, it didn't look good, and then all of a sudden we're in Indy. So, my experience is like, don't worry about it. Let's just worry about Wisconsin. We had our hands full today, and we knew that going in. We'll have our hands full again next week and the week after. So, just try to keep looking at what's in front of us.
You'll see some head coaches when their team's struggling, they'll make big changes, they'll panic in some ways. You've never been that way. Why is that?
It gets back to the people you work with. If you believe in the people you're with, and you're always trying to look for a better way. That's our job. That's what all coaches do, and we talk about it frequently as a staff. But as I said, whenever I believe we have quality people in the program. I think we have a pretty good coaching staff. Got a lot of guys that have been around the game that know what they're doing and teach it well. They're good for our players. So, and as I just said, I really believe in our players. Again, we get different levels on the team, and but it's that way every team we've ever had. So as long as you got enough guys at the top that are really helping drive things, then you got a shot.
couple offensive linemen got banged up. What's the latest with Stevens and Plum?
Yeah, I think Jack's okay. I think he is, and Stevens, we'll see. You know, he came out and couldn't go back in, so we'll see. I'll know more Tuesday, probably.
And then what about Arlen Bruce?
Yeah, I don't want to say I'm pretty sure he's going to play next week, but I'm hopeful he is. I think he had a chance this week. It just couldn't make it on as of yesterday morning. So I think it's realistic to think we'll get him back. And that's the other dilemma with Cooper. You know, because I was saying about that. It's you lose a really good corner playing their gunner when he's returning. So but it turned out to be a good trade today. So yeah, we'll see what it looks like next week.
On offense, it wasn't there in raw stats, but situationally, they did their job and came away with 17 key points. How would you assess how they've been able to improve in that area over the last few weeks?
Yeah, it was a major because we've had situations where we're in great position and end up with a field goal, and that's you just keep doing that, and at some point it's going to catch up to you, and it has caught up to us a little bit. So that was really encouraging. Start with that first one, where I think it was 2-3 plays, and boom, it just Caleb hit it in there. So, that's progress, but just the overall continuity today, cohesiveness, it wasn't there, and pressure, and, it's hard to give Spencer a good pocket to work off of, and we really never were consistent in the run game. But I'm sure it's addressable. I think these guys have been improving week to week and try to shore it up next week. We're going to have to.
Kirk, to go back to Cooper, I think probably one of the most highly decorated high school athletes in the state's history, true sophomore, playing 4 or 5 different positions. I guess maybe a two-part question. One, do people on the outside understand how difficult that is to go in there and to do it at such a high level? And two, how much of a testament is that to him that he's able to make all these different contributions in so many different areas?
Oh, it's a huge testament. I'm not sure anybody could appreciate it, and why would you? But we do as coaches. The other thing, he just makes it look easy, which is kind of amazing too. And good players have a way of doing that sometimes, but it's not easy. And I'm talking about all the mental intricacies because he could play in the safety positions too for us. So it's all positive. And then fielding punts in November is not easy either. And he looked like he was under control the whole way there. So it's just some guys. I'm not saying you're just born that way, but his whole development, his whole lifetime has just been playing ball and competing. And go back to that state championship game where it was ridiculous what he did. Recovered an onside kick, right? Scored. I mean, it's just like somebody wrote a script on that stuff. But one thing I've learned is I don't think that stuff's accidental. Like certain players, just Jovan Johnson was the same way. My mentor basically screamed at me to you guys need to recruit this guy because I was too smart. No, we don't need this guy. He's too small. And all he did was get an interception every day at practice. It's just what he did. So sometimes you got to believe production and what guys do.
That kind of trust, you have to see that day in and day out in practice and just accumulation of.
Yeah, he just doesn't screw stuff up. And it doesn't sound very hard and all that, but he's asked to do. He's playing a tough position to play, but it's really not too often when he makes a mistake mentally. And for a young guy, I mean it's a big stage out there. He's playing a big stage, and to be that poised, to be that confident, at least seemingly confident, it's really unusual. And I'm just really glad he's on our football team.
I wanted to ask about your quarterback. I'd say other than maybe a basketball player or two, no athlete I've ever seen has gotten more battered in this school than him over the years. He's had some rough. He got benched for a second half. Yeah. Still came back and started. Now he's today he got sacked 6 times, but he keeps coming back. What is it about him mentally that allows him to continue to just compete and not have it accumulate on him mentally?
Yeah, I mean, I think the probably the number one attribute to be good, I think, in anything, that's challenging and tough is to have mental toughness. And everybody can have it. I mean, everybody's capable. It's not something you don't get in a weight room or, it's not a clock measurement and all that kind of stuff. But it's, if you're going to do something that's hard to do, and playing quarterback at this level is really hard to do. Boy, if you don't have that, it's going to be tough to be any good, and because you're going to have tough times, and he's had more than his share. Some of his own accord and others, things that he couldn't do anything about. But I'll tell you, he stays positive. He's a great teammate, and just keeps chipping away. And somehow, some way, we've won a lot of games when he's in there. So a lot of respect for him, certainly. And this has not been an easy year for anybody, and probably he'd be first on the list, I think, for that. So really, it's a credit to him just to keep pushing forward.
In regards to special teams, you said earlier this week that was an area that you really needed production out of. Maybe in past matchups it hasn't gone your way, but they had two big plays that set up offensive touchdowns, and Drew had the field goal. I mean, what enabled them to have such a productive day today?
Yeah, I mean, we missed a couple opportunities, which was disappointing earlier. Some plus 50 stuff where, you hope you make them go the long field, especially on tough conditions like this. So that was kind of, I was worried about those things. Okay, is that going to catch up to us as this game goes on? But then we were able to, came back and, putting that 1-on-1 was really big for us and just, kind of gave us a boost. Drew talked, I'm not going to say he's Cooper, but in some ways, this guy just seems pretty unflappable too. It's probably good he hit the goalpost last week, keep him humble a little bit, but he's done a pretty good job. He really has. So you get some good individual efforts and then the group collectively. And a guy like Jay Higgins going back to the backup thing. Jay would be starting most years for us right now at linebacker, but you got a couple guys that are pretty good. And, so when we were in our three-backer defense, he's in there, and then he's playing great on special teams, too, and he's a great young guy, too. And going back to the leadership guys, I mean, you're going to find a guy more positive and, just totally invested. And in his case, he could be pouting because he's not starting, but I think he's smart enough to know we got two veteran guys that are pretty good. So all those things going together give you a chance to have, some good special teams units, and he's clearly one of our leaders out there, just a highly respected guy.
What does it mean to beat Wisconsin? A team you've measured yourself against, you've been second place a lot of times in a lot of really close games, but to go out there and physically go toe-to-toe and win that battle against that team, what does it mean for you now, today, and the program?
I mean, it's big, and the way I looked at it, and this goes back 23 plus years, like they were at the top, they literally were at the top, and we helped them, do a victory lap up there in Madison. But that was good. The one positive, I tried to find positives that year, and the one positive I told our guys, that's how it's supposed to look like. That's what you want. That's where you want to be. And we obviously had a long road, so it took us whatever it was 4 years to catch them finally. And then the series has gone back and forth. But I got a lot of respect for them as a program. They're built on defense. They're built on being physical. They play sound, smart football. So I respect anybody that, kind of fits in that category, and they've done it pretty consistently. In fact, probably as consistently as anybody outside Ohio State in our conference over the last, 7-8 years. So to beat them, again, that's the first thing I told our guys on Monday team meeting was just understand, if we're going to win this game, we're going to have to earn it because don't expect any freebies. We're not going to get anything easy out of this. And so, we're going to have to go out and play and win it, earn it, or you're going to go home, sad. And I've had a few of those, and it's not much fun.
Coach, you haven't beaten Wisconsin since 2008 with fans in this building. I asked a couple of players if they knew that, and they didn't. Was that a cognizant decision to not express that, and how good does it feel to get it done with fans?
Well, two things. I didn't know it either. All right. So, I didn't know it either. I'm acutely aware of our record the last five years against them, just like Purdue's. And the message there is like, this is 2022. We got a new team. They got a new team. And home or away, let's go play and see what we can do. So applaud our guys for, just taking advantage of it and doing a good job.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Coach.
See you guys.